Good evening, everybody. My name is Carrie Craddock. I'm the Director of Programming for the festival. Welcome to this evening's screening of Boy Erased. You are in for a good one, I promise. To begin, we would like to acknowledge that tonight's event is taking place on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of New Credit and the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work in this community. We are very pleased to present this film at the Visa Screening Room at the beautiful Princess of Wales Theatre. We thank Visa Canada for making that possible. Thank you to Visa for being great partners of the festival. This film is eligible for a Girls' People's Choice Award, and you can vote for all of your favorite films at tiff.net/vote. A huge thank you to Focus Features for providing us with this film tonight. They're great partners also. Actor and director Joel Edgerton has been to TIFF many times before, including with Loving in 2016 and Felony in 2013. With his latest feature, Boy Erased, he's adapted Gerard Conley's memoir about his experience with gay conversion treatment into a moving portrait of a young man's struggle to belong and accept himself, and for his family to learn to do the same. As an actor himself, in my eyes, Joel Edgerton knows how to get the best from his incredibly talented cast. Boy Erased features heart-stopping performances from Lucas Hedges, Nicole Kidman, Russell Crowe, Edgerton himself, as well as a host of great supporting actors. I have to watch hundreds of films every year as part of this job, and I have to say that after a number of years, it takes a lot to move me to tears. This film did that. Our vision at TIFF is to create a more informed, engaged, and connected world, and Boy Erased also does that. We are very fortunate to be able to have director Joel Edgerton here and some cast for an intro and a Q&A, so please stick around for that. But without further ado, please join me in welcoming to the stage the director of Boy Erased, Joel Edgerton.
Hi. A call and response. Wow, it's so exciting to see people up high and everywhere. We had a premiere of Felony here like 6 years ago, and I was so excited. I'm even more excited to be here for this movie. Thank you so much for coming. I read this book that Gerard Conley wrote about his life, and I feel weird being the one to stand up here to be the one to spook about it, because I feel like I rode sidecar to his life ever since I read the book. I got so incensed and moved, and you'll see why when you see the rendering of the film, but I felt like I had the privilege of turning his book into just a different form, and that felt like a real privilege and something I wasn't sure how and why it spoke to me so much, except that it said a lot about injustice and acceptance, but ultimately I'd been looking for a very positive and moving message to put out into the world, and I felt like the space within some of the darkness of this story ultimately was the gift that it provided. And I'm very privileged to be standing here at the far end of this, knowing that this is only actually kind of the beginning of the journey, in the sense that I've never made a movie that I felt would actually start conversations beyond the movie to be more than people just having an experience with a movie and then wondering where they parked their car after the film. I hope it lives long after. And also, by the way, I wish this film didn't exist. And I hope that in 5 years' time this film, or less, I hope that in a year's time this film is redundant. There are many people that I have to thank for the film on a major level. Focus Features for being a supporter from the very beginning. There are two people involved in this film who were my two biggest champions when I first tried to start typing stories on a computer, and Josh McLaughlin is now head of production at Focus. He's an old dear friend. Steve Golan, who runs Anonymous, was one of those other people who was trying to help me early on as a writer, and now we had the chance to actually make something happen. And under his guidance, Kerry Roberts, as a producer, was the person who handed me the book, and I thank her forever for that, and I'm sure Garrett does too. In attendance tonight, Garrett is here, who wrote the book. I see him. I'm going to try and be quick because I know that it's weird. If you go to a movie normally, you don't have idiots come up to talk about it beforehand. But these are great environments and we're very proud, so we want to say thank you to everyone. I'm in no particular order. Producers, I couldn't have done this movie without him. David Craig is here. He's in the movie. He's been with me for 8 years. He's a co-producer, and he's also pushing out with Garrett a podcast that's running sidecar to this. Anne Ruark, our line producer, Kim Hodgett and Tony Lip, executive producers, massive champions of this movie. Edu Grau, who shot the movie. Danny Bensi and Saundra Jurian, who composed not only The Gift, my first movie, but this, are here tonight. And actors Theodore Pellerin, who you may not know, but you will fall in love with, as I have. Madeline Klein, David again, who I mentioned, who's in the film. A young lady with a bright future. Nicole Kidman is with us, and I want to invite her on stage. And also a young angel with an incredibly already bright past and an incredibly brighter future, Troye Sivan, who is in the movie. To all those people, and excuse me for 1 second, I'm not just checking my text messages, but I just would hate to leave anybody out, because I do that all the time. And Liz Driscoll, who was involved in the movie, thank you so much. To everybody who helped make this happen, that are here or absent. Let's watch the film, and then afterwards we have a Q&A, and you can grill us about it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the director of Boy Erased, Joel Edgerton. Nicole Kidman. Troye Sivan. Martha Conley. And Garrett Conley.
Okay. Are you okay? Oh my God, I'm gonna be okay. We're together. You hold it together. I'm holding it together.
Okay, we're going to try to have a conversation with everybody now.
That's the first time she saw it, so.
I think appropriately, if both of you don't mind, maybe Martha and Garrett, you could talk a little bit about what this experience has meant to you and what it's been like working with all of the people on stage.
Do you want to start? You want me to start? Okay. Okay. We're going back to normal now, I think. So that was my mom's first time seeing the film, by the way. I mean, it's just such an incredible honor to, I mean, I can't really, I'm going to make her cry again, but she saved my life. She took me out of this place. And to give this gift to her, which maybe not a gift after, because I'm just making her cry on stage, but to give this gift where we get to really honor her is just such a wonderful thing. And you know, I think it's what Joel has done here is really honored both of our stories, which is very unusual for these kinds of stories. You usually get one side, and we have both. And I think that the real life-saving work here is the kinds of conversations that parents will have with their kids on this, who might be thinking of this sort of thing or have had a bad coming out experience, and now they have a kind of guidebook, and I think my mom is a perfect tribute to that. So I'm just thrilled, you know, to be here. Mom. I know it's too much. We're torturing her.
No. Well, first of all, it is my first time to see it, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I knew it was our story, and I felt every emotion that is possible. But I was also so thankful for who took this project. No one knows, unless they were there, that this man lived and breathed. He did not do anything for like a year and a half but work on this solid. And we could never have been represented like that with anyone else. So first of all, I'd like you to give Joel the biggest hand you can possibly give. One of the things that Russell Crowe said to me, one of the things.
That's a statement. Don't say the other thing.
One of the things that he said was he came up to me and he said, I honored your husband. I honored Garrett, and I honored your family. And that's what these people have done. I cannot imagine anyone playing this part. Well, I still can't believe that Nicole Kidman played me. You know, if somebody had told me this, even 2 years ago, I would have said, okay, you know, what are y'all doing to me?
It was my honor.
Oh, no, it was my honor.
If it's okay.
The joke that I told Nicole in the very beginning was that Garrett and I grew up, he grew up going to movies. He sat in my lap when he was so young that he couldn't even know what the movie was about, but he would just eat the popcorn. And so everything we did was about a movie. And I can't believe that tonight, when we were driving up, and the people were all outside in the line, and I said, Garrett, that's me in that line. I've always been that person in that line for the movie. And you are giving this to me tonight. And you've given this to, I just can't tell you. And we have a story about Nicole that
Oh no. Not this story.
I have to
Not
tell
this story.
It. I have to
No.
tell it. Yes.
No.
Yes,
Oh my
I
God.
have
Let me
to.
tell it. I'll be succinct. Okay.
No, because you'll leave something out. We had just seen Cold Mountain. Okay, it's been a while. But Garrett was in a really bad mood. And we were driving off, and I said, the movie was so good. Why are you in a bad mood? And he said, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. And I said, Garrett, try, because you've told me for months now, I've known you're gay, but try to help me to understand it, because I don't really understand it. And Garrett said, who's the most beautiful, the best actress in the world? And I said, well, you can't ask me that. I just came out of Cold Mountain. I saw Nicole Kidman. Of course it's Nicole Kidman. You know it's always been Nicole Kidman with me. And he goes, do you want to kiss her? And I said, no.
I think you said not really.
Oh, okay.
Everyone's on a spectrum these days.
True. And he said, well, do you want to kiss Jude Law? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, so do I.
Is Jude Law here? Can we make that happen?
And so I said, so I get it. We're wired the same way. Okay, I
It's
get
that
it.
simple.
And it's that simple. It's that simple, isn't it, Troy? It is. And his song. Oh my goodness, your song.
We don't.
Does anyone have any questions?
Joel, you talked about this being a passion project in your introduction.
You want me to follow that?
Yeah. Nobody can follow it. Let's just go home. You talked about this being a real passion of yours in the introduction, and I'm wondering if you can just elaborate on kind of, how you found this story and why you wanted to tell it. And in particular, I think also make it a real story about family and about these two different perspectives.
Kerry Roberts, who is here because she is the whole reason behind this becoming a movie, read Garrett's book, gave it to me. It got so under my skin in a way. I mean, the easiest way to put it is that I've often chosen projects, I've often gone after projects, and I've very rarely ever had something just like choose me in a way that reading his book got under my skin so much that I would wake up every day thinking about it, and there was a compulsion that I can't really explain, that there are elements that I could explain, but it'd be too long, but I had a lot of reasons that I think that it got under my skin, but it did, suffice it to say, so much that I haven't, to this day, since like a year and a half, 2 years, I have not spent a whole day without a large part of my day being about this project. Next week, after Toronto, I go to Costa Rica, and I'm allowed to stop thinking about it, I think. I'm not sure that I will. And I just, I went into a book reading about something I was very kind of curious about, gay conversion therapy. I'd heard about it. It was reminding me of all the things I feared as a kid, which was institutions and boarding school and prisons and going to war, anything that took me away from my life and trapped me in some way. But that led me to the book. What I came out of the book with was this feeling of love and family, which obviously all of us relate to. And sometimes we miss each other and miscommunicate. And in this case, there was something really big at stake. And I could not stop thinking about it, and I had to do something about it, and here we are. And I would never have said to you 4 years ago that I would ever make a movie like this. I'm so glad that I did.
So So are we. I'm wondering if Nicole and Troy, you could each speak about what these characters were like for you to play and how you approached them. We've heard from Martha and Garrett, but it would be also nice to hear your perspective on what it was like to approach this story.
Martha was so open with me and was so willing to step into somebody's shoes who exists and to tell their story, or a slither of their life, it's a huge thing to ask somebody, and they have both been so generous, and to let their story be told like this. And I came into this film because Joel said, I'm working on this script right now, and he sent it to me, and I was like completely moved by it. But at the same time, it's so important, and I just went, okay, it doesn't matter, what the role is, I just want to be in it. And then I read it, and I went, what a beautiful story about a family staying together, and the mother being the bridge to keep that family together. And then just today I read the sweetest thing that was written about this film, and I don't usually read things that are written about the films that I'm in, but it said that this film could save lives. And I went, oh, what a beautiful thing. If it saves one life, then I'm so, so glad that this film is being seen, and that's why we're out here and we're trying to share it and tell your friends to go see it, because that's what we need.
For me, it started with the script. I got sent the script and just like blew through it really, really quickly, and just was left really affected by it. I had like the ideal coming out. When I came out to my family, it was, they were incredibly supportive and accepting from the word go. And so this script was, like you said, it was all of my deepest, darkest fears that I had harbored as a kid. It was all of them on a page, and to see it kind of played out to the end where a child takes their life, it just really, really stuck with me. And I just remember thinking, like, first of all, I will do anything to be in this movie, like anything. And then also just thankful that it was even being made in the first place, I'm so, so thankful to Joel, because you didn't have to make this movie, you know what I mean? Like this was not your story, but it is so many people's stories, and to take it on in the way that you did, so wholeheartedly and so with such care and such sensitivity, and for you to be here guiding us through the entire process, and to meet an absolute hero like you, Martha, along the way. This whole experience has just been absolutely life-changing for me, and again, like you said, Nicole, I'm really just hoping that, for someone like you to put your name on a movie like this, I'm hoping that everyone and their grandmother is going to watch this movie, and hopefully it'll hit home,
Unfortunately, we are going to have to call it quits there for this Q&A, but I do hope that the movie lives on with all of you. Thank you so much for coming. Congratulations again to everybody up here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Surreal right now, right?